Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter for the next 20-ish minutes. We have a lot of material to cover today, so I just want you to know ahead of time that we might go a little bit over. I will do my best to get it within the 20-minute time frame that you all have blocked off. But we are going over today the New Year Prep Steps document. And I want to show you that real quick on our website where you can locate the document, the material that I'm going to be going over. So you can look at it in more detail if you wish at a later date, share it with someone who might also find this helpful. But remember, we are recording this, so you can definitely find this out on our website towards the end of the week if you want to watch it again or share it again with somebody who might need it. But to find the information that I'm covering today, you're going to go to churchwindows.com. Up at the top under supporting, you're going to go down here to New Year Prep. Click on that, and then over here on the left-hand side, let me scroll down a skosh for you. Donations New Year Prep Steps. This Donations New Year Prep Steps. This link right here will take you to the document that I am going over today. So you can pull it up, print it out at any time. So let me go ahead and close this. I do have Josh in here with me today. He's going to be answering questions. Again, if you have a question, feel free to type that in. He'll be able to get you an answer, or you can hang tight with us till the end of the webinar and you can ask it then, because I might cover it at a later time. But keep in mind, if you expand the question section on your GoToWebinar toolbar, you will just be able to type in your question. Either Josh or I will get you an answer that way. All right, so let's get to it here. Version today is going to be 21.18.1. As of this moment, that is the most current version. We are working on the .2, Service Release 2. That will be out in the very near future. You should be getting an email about that, or you can always go to churchwindows.com for updated information there as well. All right, so in donations, there is no year-end procedure. There is nothing that the program is going to require of you to do to close out the year or start a new year. Donations does not work in separate years. If you're familiar with accounting splits everything up by year. Donations doesn't do that, so there's no year-end process or creating of a new year that you have to do here. But there are good things that you should check on or update in the donations module to make sure you are ready for the new year. A couple of those things might be updating your giver numbers. If you do use envelope numbers or giver numbers, and that might be something that you need to go in and clean up or update. Sometimes we have customers, I should say, a good amount of our customers still order envelopes and actually give people offering envelopes. So if you want people's giver numbers in Church Windows to match the number that they're going to get with their envelope, this is the time to do that. I'll also show you how to go in and print labels for the new numbers for the next year. We're going to talk about pledging campaigns, how to set those up, and we will have time, but it might be quick. We're also going to go over how to get a prepaid pledge donation in. Okay. So let's start up at the top. We're going to go to Givers, and I'm going to click on Manage Numbers. And this is going to open up the Manage Numbers screen. This is going to be the best screen to go in and update, change, remove giver numbers for people. Now, this screen is the best screen to use if you're going to go in and be changing numbers on a person-by-person basis. So say you have someone who left the church, whether they passed away, moved away, transferred their membership, what have you. This is a good place to go in and update the numbers per person. Okay, I am going to go over after this how to do an auto reassign, which will allow you to go in and change numbers for everybody. But let's start here. So let's say, for example, Nina, she's left the church. She's transferred her membership. She's not coming back. She currently has number 34. She's had number 34 since 1/1/2011, but we want to end this number so we can make 34 available to assign to someone else. It's really easy to do. All you have to do is click in this end date box and type in the end date you wish this number to stop for Nina. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 12/31/2018. I personally like using end dates because you still have the history of what number Nina had and when. Now, if you don't care to keep the history, say you just want to delete this number, you can do that by coming over here to the right and hitting the minus sign, and that will give you the option to delete it. If you choose delete, it's not going to get rid of all Nina's giving. You're not wiping out her pledging. All this is going to do is remove the history of Nina having number 34. If you want to keep that history for reporting purposes, then you want to use the end date option, okay? And that will keep Nina's number in effect from the start date and the end date, okay? Pretty simple. Now let's talk about if you have someone that wants a new number. The next example, we're going to work with Miss Carolyn here. Let's say we want to change Carolyn's number from a number 5 to a number 1. And we want that number 1 to take effect the 1st of next year, so 1/1/2019. That is very simple to do. All you need to do is come over to the right, hit this little plus sign here, and it's going to ask you what new number you want Carolyn to have. We're going to say number 1, and we are going to adjust our start date down to 2019. So we want Carolyn to have number 1 starting 1/1/2019. I'm going to say OK. And now we see Carolyn with number 5, it ends on 12/31. So whatever start date you give to someone for a new number, their current number is going to end 1 day prior. Okay, so number 5 will end 12/31/2018 for Carolyn. Now you can also come up here to the top right. You have a past, current, future options. We could come in here and uncheck current, check future, and now we can see here's what we just updated. Carolyn, her number 1 is going to start 1/1/2019. So these filters up here in the top right are really handy if you're working with numbers, changing things around. You need to figure out what's available, what's not. Use these check boxes here up at the top. Okay? So that's how you change or stop a number for someone, and this is how you change their number. All right, now let's talk about the auto reassign. A lot of people like this option, especially if they're ordering giving envelopes. This is nice. It allows you to go in, grab everybody who currently has a number, sort them alphabetical, and then get their numbers going from 1 to whatever. So you only have to order 50 envelopes instead of a smattering of, say, 100 envelopes. So I'm going to show you that next. That's also up here under Givers. You're going to click on this auto assign number option, and it's going to open up a little window saying that when this screen is open, you will have exclusive access to auto assign and manage givers. So if you are working on a network and you are in here working in this screen setting up the auto assign, there's not going to be anybody else that's going to be allowed to be working in giver numbers or this screen. Okay, that's all that means. Just click OK through it. And then we're going to get the Choose Givers window. So first thing you have to specify is when you want these new numbers to begin. It's going to default to the next year, so we're going to leave that at 1/1/2019. I'm going to say OK. And it is going to give me a message because I just assigned someone a future date. I just assigned Miss Carolyn a future date. So it is going to tell you if you have any future numbers assigned, this will delete those and it will reassign them. So just simply click OK through that. And this is where we pick the people that we want to give new numbers to for 1/1/2019. Just for a simple sake here as part of the webinar, I'm only going to include those people who currently have a number. So I'm going to uncheck to include those without number. And if we look down here at the bottom, this is going to tell us everybody we see up here, these are people's giver numbers as of 12/31/2018. Okay, so keep in mind that's as of the end of the year. Everyone here has a number, so I'm going to re-grab all of these people by hitting select all in the bottom left, and I'm hitting my right facing arrow, and this is going to include all of these people in my auto reassign that I will be doing on the next screen. Okay, you can remove people from this list. You can bounce them back over to the left. Say you need to include someone that doesn't have a number. You can do that by coming back up here and checking the box to include those without a number. And we could pop over Richard if we needed to, or William over to the right to be included. Okay. Say you need to look for one person specifically, you can type them in here and they will automatically be added to the list below. That allows you to search for them instead of scrolling through the list on the left to include them. All right, once you have everybody picked that you want, I'm going to go down to the bottom right and say OK. It's going to take all of those people I selected and it's going to put them into the auto assign screen. This is where the assigning of the numbers is actually going to take place. Okay, so that first screen is where we're choosing who we want to get a new number. The second screen here is where we're actually going to be assigning the number. All right, now I want my people to be sorted in alphabetical order. So if I look through my list currently, they are definitely not in alpha order. So what I'm going to do is click on the giver name column header. By clicking on that column header, it's going to resort my list and it's going to put everyone in alphabetical order, which is what I want. Now I'm going to come down here to the bottom left. I'm going to hit select all. I want everyone in this screen to get a new number. Top left, I want my new numbers to start with number 1. I have some people who do different groupings of reassignments, so you could change this number. Say you wanted to start in the thousands. If you typed 1,000 in there, the first number would then be 1,000. But I'm going to leave it at number 1, and I'm going to come here and hit my Assign Selected button. As soon as I click that, if you look down through the list, now, along with being in alphabetical order, my numbers are starting at 1 and increasing. And if I scroll down through, I can see now I have all my numbers assigned. Looks like I'm going up to number 80. So there'll be 80 new numbers starting 1/1/2019. As long as the list looks correct, you can come down here to the bottom right and hit Save and Close. And that's going to assign these new numbers starting 1/1/2019. Their current numbers are all going to end 12/31/2018. Okay, I'm going to hit Save and Close. It's going to work to save what I've done. It's as simple as that. So if we bounce back up here to Manage Numbers, just so you can see, I'll come over here to the top right and check Future. And now we see everybody's number here in numerical order and alphabetical order, starting 1/1/2019. And if I jump back to current, I'm going to have all my end dates. So these numbers will continue until 12/31/2018. Once the first of the year rolls around, my date on my computer says 1/1/2019. That's when those new numbers will take effect. All right, so that is how you do the auto assign. Let me flip my page here. All right, so let's talk about creating labels. This is a common thing people do once they get their 2019 numbers put in. Then they want to go in and print out labels. A lot of people like to stick those right on the envelope boxes. So let me walk you through that. We're going to come up here to Reports and Export, Lists and Labels, and then we're going to go to Labels. So first screen here, this is where you're going to put in your criteria of who you need labels for. We only need labels for those people who have numbers. So I'm going to uncheck the Include Those Without Number box here. Then you do have to come up to the Giving Pledging tab. This is really important here, folks. You have to come to the Giving and Pledging tab and update your Use Numbers Current as of. And make sure you get that changed to when your new numbers take effect. And mine take effect 1/1/2019. Go to your sort tab, make sure it's going to be sorting in proper order. I want it to sort in the giver number order. I'm going to choose that here. Bottom right, I'm going to hit next. So step 1 is just my criteria of who I need, and that is just people with numbers starting 1/1/2019. I'm going to wait for step 2 to load. And now I need to make a new label layout. I want my label layout to include their name and their address along with their new giver number. So to do that, I'm going to hit New Label. I'm going to tell the program what size label I'm using, so it builds my layout to fit my label sheets. I'm going to do 5160. That's what I want. I'm just going to hit Finish here, and then my report designer is going to open. It's working. There we go. All right, so in here, whenever you make a new label, it's going to default to put the mailing label and the address on, which is what we want. But we also need to add the giver number to it. So to do that, I'm going to simply come over here to the right, grab this giver number field and drag it over and drop it. So if we were to preview the label, we would have the giver number printing first and then their mailing label and their address below. All right, so I'm going to hit Save. Top right, hit the X to close now that I have my label layout created. And right below my label layout where it says 1 label per, I'm going to choose Giving Unit. And now I'm going to hit Print. And that will give us our labels. All right, so now we have everybody. And here's Miss Carolyn with her new number. Number 2 is printing like it should. Okay. So that is labels, and I know we just have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to boogie through this here as well. Let's talk about pledges. If you're not a pledging church, this won't pertain to you, but if you are a pledging church, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your new campaign and get those prepaids entered. So to do that, you're going to come up to Accounts and Pledges and hit Pledges, and it's going to open up the View and Enter Pledges screen. Now, you have 2 options. You can copy one of your current campaigns, taking everybody and what they've pledged from your current year, from whatever date range you choose, and copying that information forward for the next year, okay? Or you can start a campaign from scratch and re-enter each person. No way is better than the other, it's just preference here. So to copy a campaign, in the campaign drop box, you would choose the campaign you're wanting to move forward. So let's say General Fund 2018. I'm going to select that. It's going to show me everybody and what pledge information has been entered. So if I want to take all of this information, move it forward to 2019, say people are always going to be pledging the same amount and you always have the same pledgers. If that's the case, go to Copy Campaign. You'll enter in your new name, so we'll call this General Fund 2019. Make sure your start date and your end dates are accurate. Say OK. And then it's going to go in, grab all these people, it's going to copy them, their pledge amount, their frequencies, and it's going to move it forward. All right, so now we see this is for General Fund 2019, same account, but my start dates now are for the next year. Okay. You can also do this, and then you can come in here and tweak each person's individual pledge if you wish as well. All right. Now, let's say you want to enter your pledges from scratch, or you're having a new pledge campaign that you haven't done before. Let's say, for example, your church is starting a building fund. To create that new campaign, I'm going to come up here to the top, hit my little green plus sign, and I'm going to enter my new campaign name. Let's call it Building Fund Campaign. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to choose my account that people will be pledging to. I'll choose Building Fund. And then I need to adjust my start date and end dates accordingly. I'm going to hit Add Givers. And then this is where I come in and I put each person in. So as those pledge cards come back, you're going to select those people. So let's say Nina pledged $25,000. I'm going to put her information in and hit add. Let's also say Carolyn has pledged as well. Let's say she's pledged 5,000. You can also adjust your frequency here if they want to do something other than flat. I'm going to hit add giver to campaign. So each time a pledge card comes in, you'll come in here, you'll pick the giver, what they pledged, and their frequency if they've specified it, and then you'll add them to the campaign. Okay? So that's how you copy a campaign, and then this is how you make one from scratch. Now, a lot of churches get people who prepay their pledge. I'm going to show you how to enter that, and that's the last thing I have for you guys. So let's say Nina prepaid her pledge. So her building fund pledge doesn't start until 2019, but she wants to give a donation now in 2018 to credit that next year's pledge. You can definitely do that in donations. So you'll choose the date that she gave the gift. So we'll choose November 11th. You're going to enter the giver. We're going to choose Nina. We're going to specify how much she gave. Let's say she gave $5,000. She gave a check. We're going to enter in her check number. Now this is where you have to do something a little different, okay? So to see her pledges down under account/pledge, you have to scroll all the way down here to the bottom, and you're going to see pledge ranges. These are all of Nina's past pledges, okay? So for her to have this gift in the current period be considered a prepaid, you would have to choose this, okay? This is her building fund pledge for 2019. So your donation date is in 18, but it's going into her pledge for 2019. This is how you have to enter your prepaids, okay? Once you get the proper account picked, so next year's pledge selected, you do everything same as normal. You hit done add to batch, and then you hit either post or post and transfer. If you don't use the accounting module, you'll just need to hit post. If you do use the accounting module, then you're going to go with post and transfer. Ask me if I want to print. I'm going to say no for now. I don't need to do that. But now it's going to open up my transfer donations to accounting screen. So with prepaids, commonly prepaids are transferred over into accounting, but they are transferred into a liability account. So that would be a number 2 account in accounting. They are transferred into a liability account, kept there through the end of the year. The new year is created in accounting. That liability balance carries forward into the new year. And then over in accounting, a journal entry would be done to move the money out of the liability into an income account. So that money doesn't show as income until the next year. If you need help with this, there's information on our website. Of course, call us and we can walk you through it. But the main thing to keep in mind here is when the transfer is done, you don't want it to go into the default income account. You want this to go into the credit account or into the liability account. So I'm going to find my prepaid pledges liability account. And that's going to be my little holding tank through the end of the year. Okay, so make sure when you transfer, you're crediting your liability. You're still debiting your regular checking account wherever that money is going to be deposited. That is not changed, but your credit account is. Okay, once you get the proper credit account in there, you're going to hit post. It's just going to give you an overview. We're debiting our checking account. We're crediting our liability account of prepaid pledges, and then we hit post. This is just telling you can print it if you wish. And that's it. Now keep in mind too, you can go to this default account links tab and you have an option for a prepaid credit account. So anytime someone is going to be prepaying, I would suggest coming in here and specifying it. Let me find it real quick. Prepaid pledges. That way, whenever you enter a donation to building fund and the program sees it's a prepaid, it's going to automatically put in that liability credit account for you on the transfer screen. Okay, so this will just save you some time if you fill it in. Again, if you don't use accounting, this doesn't pertain to you, but Whew. All right, that covers everything I needed to go over for you guys. Let me go look at questions over here and see if there's anything I can help Josh answer. If you do have a question, please feel free to type it in. We'll do our best to get you answered here. And again, I apologize for, looks like I'm 5 minutes over here. Someone's asking, can you have a campaign span over 2 years? Of course. Donations is not going to limit the start date or end date for your campaign. Lots of people do multi-year pledges. That is totally fine. If you guys got the information you were looking for, feel free to leave the webinar. And keep in mind this is recording. It'll be updated on our website towards the end of the week, or you can head out to churchwindows.com under New Year Prep, and you can print out the document that I followed today if you would like to have something printed out. Someone's asking, when you start the new year, is there something that will remind you to do the journal entry to move the amount? Kelly, I'm assuming you're meaning in accounting to move the money out of the liability into the income account. Kelly, there is nothing in the program that will remind you to do that. So I would suggest making yourself a note for that. Someone's asking about, Cheryl's asking, may you go over the label details again for doing labels for giving envelopes? Definitely. Let me do it real quick here. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. Back into labels. You enter in the criteria of who you want. So we only want those people with giving. And we're going to adjust our date again. And hit next. All right, so I'm just going to hit edit label because I've already made it. This is what you want your detail to look like. You need to use the giver number field and the mailing label and address field. You can also scooch these fields around by using your directional arrows on your keys. If it's too close to your left margin, you can select the field and hit your right facing arrow, and that will allow you to scoot the fields over. Someone's asking, is there any way to enter giving for 2018 and January 2019? Yes, definitely, Cheryl. Program will allow you to put in whatever date you want on the enter donation screen. Okay, everyone, we are about 10 minutes past, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar here. If you have any other questions, feel free to email us at support@churchwindows.com, or you can always call on the 1-800 number and talk to a tech that way. I hope you learned something new today that'll help make your job a little bit easier, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks for attending.